All right, welcome.
No, no, second.
No go. Okay. All right, welcome to this political debate for today. There are three major political discourse that Nigerians are really interested in, and Nigerians want to talk about it because it talks about the future and the present of Nigeria. Number one is the killings that is going on in South Africa. A lot of Nigerians are asking questions. What is the government doing about the killings that is happening in South Africa? Now, I like to ask, recently we heard Oshomole being very loud that MTN and DSTV, which is the business that Nigerians know that South Africans are operating here in South Africa, that it should be nationalized. I'd like to start from you, sir. What do you think about that statement? Do you think that is the way we should tackle the killings that is going on in South Africa?
It's unfortunate that when we look at people like Oshomole who are in the Senate, he was once a governor in this country, in Edo State, a former governor, then an NLC president. You can take down the history very well if you look at do a proper background check on Oshomole. Every right-thinking being, whether you're a black man, whether you're a European, whether you're an American, xenophobia is an anti-people agenda, and it should be condemned. But when you come to issue of Nigeria, most Nigerian leaders are just, selfish, and they are sycophants. The way I look at it. So if you see somebody like Oshomole, coming from that angle of trying to target MTN and DSTV, or that they should be nationalized, then the question remains that, what has Nigerian government been able to do before now? That's the question. And this is not a new thing. The one that happened in Ghana, we didn't see Nigerian government come out to react. The one that has been happening, in South Africa, we have not seen Nigerian government. All we hear is that, there was a diplomatic approach, this and that, but it continues. They have not properly confronted the way other African countries we are seeing are confronting South Africa.
Right, don't you think the step Oshomole has taken?
No, bro. The question is, where are they when MTN, DSTV, and all these ShopRite, whatever they call them, are entering Nigeria? Where were they? Before now, I even learned that for some decades now, South Africa have record of xenophobia attacks, but they were admitted. How do they? And most of the things we are experiencing today, they continue to extort Nigerians.
And so that is
with the services. I'm coming with the services. So if you look at Oshomole, I expected Oshomole to resign from the Senate.
But don't you think he's one person that is agitating towards that?
Let me tell you, what are other senators doing in the Senate? What is the Senate president doing? What is the presidency doing? Have you seen any concrete step in that regard? Before now, these things are happening. So there is an ulterior motive, and that's what I want to know. There is an ulterior motive when some of these leaders, the so-called leaders, because they pretend a lot. There should have been a concrete step to mitigate, decimate Nigerians, Black Africans in South African continent. I don't want to talk about, of course, the guy who was the leader of this Foreigners Must Go in South Africa was busy having a red carpet with Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. So it is possible there's an underground tone that we need to know actually why South African government decided, and the police people are involved, decided to keep quiet. These are the things we needed to know. And what action have we done on our own side before now to make sure that AU, the international community, the ECOWAS, mount a serious sanction? Especially they say Nigeria is the giant of Africa.
Sorry, let me ask you a question. The question now is, what is Nigeria doing towards it? But now we see a voice. Don't you think it is going in the right direction in terms of Oshomole trying to say, let us nationalize MTN, DSTV, in a way to cripple the resources that South Africa gets from Nigeria, so as to send a message to them? Don't you think that is the right direction?
Is it the only place, South Africa, is Nigeria the only place South Africa is having investment? It's not. The thing is that the government themselves has failed. And when you see them narrating this, okay, look at the kind of, okay, well, let me give you an instance now. The Chagori we are talking about today, that's in charge of Lagos, Calabar, Coastal Road. Go and look at, I think the matter is in court, whether they are going to cover it, the decision is going to cover it up. No, they did those things for their own interest. When they say nationalize, this and that, okay, that means there's every possibility. How can you build Coastal Road for 15 trillion? That can take more than 7 African countries to carry out a road project in that regard. That is what I'm saying. That Nigerians will not feel, I say Oshomole, a statement is actually something else. Right. But the fact still remains is that we need to know actually, when you are calling for they should nationalize those companies. Where we are there when those companies, the ones we have in Nigeria, have they actually survived? Nigeria should do more than that. I expected by now, all African countries, would have placed sanction on South Africa. That is when we begin to know.
All right, thank you.
There's a deep reaction as the so-called giant of Africa.
Thank you so much, sir. Do you support his opinion that Oshomole agitation that then we should nationalize MTN and DSTV has an ulterior motive? What's your opinion?
Once again, thank you for having me. I'm going to tell you that personally, my opinion is at variant with what my colleague here just said. But it's quite unfortunate that he have not been consistent, because before now, he maintained a very stiff position to Oshomole, but I can see him, perhaps he has seen the other side of the argument that he may not be entirely correct ab initio. But the question is, just like I said earlier on, there's what they call reciprocity in international relation, and that is the angle Oshomole is speaking from. Before then, we had a situation where Nigeria as a sovereign state dictated the Minister of Foreign Affairs, talking about Bianco Duku, to, of course, South Africa, to engage with the government. In the midst of all of this, the xenophobic attack continued unabated. And in what looks like the government of South Africa, the police being complicit. In the circumstance, while there were conversations at the level of Nigerian Senate at the plenary, Oshomole made a contribution, and in his own candid position, that to send a strong message to South Africa that we should nationalize MTN and some other business interests of South Africa. And for me, it's the best approach. Hence, the government of South Africa look complicit. In the circumstance, we have a very serious issue where a Nigerian who have a brother, a sibling in Lagos here, who, according to story, the South African police visited his house, perhaps because of investigation, but the guy never make it back home alive. And the circumstances surrounding his death have not been unraveled by even the South African police. So when you see Oshomole was speaking out of patriotism, for you to know that it was his personal opinion, his opinion did not say true at the level of the Senate. So if it were to be government position, I'm going to tell you that his opinion could have said true at the Senate. But however I look at it, as a person, as a Nigerian, as a patriotic citizen, I totally align myself with the position of Oshomole. Because shortly after Oshomole made that statement, we saw Ramaphosa, who before now have been very silent, breaking silence, speaking and talking about what they tend to do, how they hope to address the xenophobic attack. And this thing, for me, is barbaric. What, like I said earlier, what makes it worse is that the government of South Africa, the police, look as if they are complicit. So in the circumstance, what do you want the government to do? For me, I totally support Oshomole's position.
All right, so you supporting Oshomole's position. Do you think that is the only step that needs to be taken for Nigeria for them to actually do something that can ignite a change?
There are 1001 approach to issues like this. We are talking about,
because a lot of people are saying if you nationalize MTN and DSTV, that means if can you also nationalize American investments in Nigeria if something of such happens, for instance?
Let me tell you, in international relations, you can only muzzle somebody you have equal power with. To be candid, if somebody have might, power more than you, in international relations, might is right. To that extent, what a Nigerian government can do to South Africa, they cannot do it to American government. They cannot do it to a French government. They cannot do it to a Russian government. That is the truth. If we are threatening South Africa to nationalize their investment in Nigeria, it may not necessarily mean that we are nationalizing it. It may be a necessary diplomatic pressure to make them do the right thing. You may not be able to put such similar pressure on some other countries if you have similar engagement with them, because perhaps they have power more than you.
But we saw
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying. But we saw when America was trying to push Nigeria, came up with the issue of tariff. We saw Nigeria reacting. It happened. So you cannot tell me that when there is a situation that does not favor Nigeria, if they go into relationship with America or any other so-called superpower, Nigeria shouldn't react. I don't think that is not correct.
No, where is getting it wrong is reaction varies, it differs. You cannot, the decision you take against America cannot be the same decision you are taking against South Africa. South America is a world power. And if America decides to cut ties with you, you are looking at who is at disadvantage. Nigeria definitely will be at disadvantage. Currently, we know that America have business interests, economic interests in Nigeria, because Chevron, for instance, is an American company. And when it comes to fighting insurgency, America plays a pivotal role in terms of technology, in terms of partnership with Nigeria to help us start the term of banditry. So you look at all of that. What do you stand to gain and lose when you cut ties with a particular country? So the type of step Nigeria may take against South Africa, they will not take it against America because
if you compare South Africa economy, compare South Africa as a nation, South Africa is more advanced than Nigeria. So I don't know the yardstick you are using to measure that Nigeria, that has the capacity, the giant of Africa that has the capacity to have a multinational that is even 10 better and functional than DSTV and MTN in Nigeria, are now talking about trying to see how they are going to nationalize. See, to me, it opens up. That's what I'm saying. I'm not changing any position from my previous position on the motive, which we have seen. We can make references to the past on the activities of the so-called Nigerian leaders. When it comes to issue of indigenization, when it comes to issue, of buying up or privatization, you saw it under article. What is the outcome? Everything is just in a mess.
You know where it's getting
No, I'm coming. You know where it's getting I'm coming. That's what I'm telling you. You will not say, because I'm taking that position, that I'm aligning with the evil that is happening. No, I'm talking about the motive.
The motive is clear. We discussed this in
the motive is, we have not discussed it. But this is a platform. It is a platform. We not discuss it on this platform.
But the motive is simple. It's because of the
that's what I'm saying.
On the part of Oshomole.
See, we cannot continue to be deceived. That's the fact.
Who is deceiving?
Who is deceiving us?
That's what I'm saying. About when these people come with quoted rhetorics that they're going to do this, they're going to do this, and Nigerians will fly on it. No, we need to ask questions. Before now, what are the action? As a government? Can you kill an American citizen like that? And he did the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. To an extent, Nigerian government cannot even be able to provide one single aircraft to go and rescue Nigerians.
You see why it's still getting
No, I'm coming. It's not about getting you wrong. I'm telling you that, the Nigerian state as a nation has been fractured to the extent that, every leader that comes out to any issue in Nigeria, we need to feast on it and question.
But wait,
I'm coming. Let me tell you, you see the issue of South Africa. That's what is happening in South Africa. If Nigerian government are truly a nation or a country where citizens are being taken as a priority, the people in South Africa, what are they saying? He said, go back to your country where people are dying. Get out from my country.
No.
He said,
wait,
they have sensed it. They have sensed
the
it.
problem. You just want to
listen. I want to wait.
The Nigerian image internationally is rubbish.
You have to wait. No. Just listen.
I've not changed my.
He said
no. I changed my this thing previously. I have not changed.
Yeah.
I still maintain what I'm saying.
No, listen. He is saying you are getting something wrong. What exactly do you think is getting wrong with this conversation?
Number one is either he's economical with the truth or he's not informed with the current situation. It's simple. I told him I have an issue. Nigerian government detailed the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bianco Duku, to South Africa to have engagement, diplomatic engagement with the government of South Africa. While that was happening, the killing continued. And again, why I say is either he's not informed or he's been economical with the truth, he's still on record that currently the Nigerian consulate in South Africa is registering Nigerians who are willing to return back to Nigeria. So it is not true that Nigerian government is not willing or Nigerian government lack aircraft to return Nigerians who are willing to return. The process is still ongoing. And there's already a register. The Nigerian government, through their consulate in South Africa, have been giving advisory to our citizens on how to stay safe. The same thing is what is done globally. We often see American government issuing advisory to their citizens in Nigeria or elsewhere, how to make movement and all of that. I want to tell you that it's on record. This is not to mean that I'm holding brief for the government, but I'm saying based on what is available in the media space. So it's not true that the government have not done anything in that regard. It's not true that the Nigerian government lack aircraft to return them. And again,
what do you mean?
Why I said he's not consistent.
Which of the national
why I said is when it means which are the aircraft, the Nigerian government as a sovereign state can decide to engage any airline to evacuate her citizens. We have seen that happen in the past. So that one is not an issue. Then again, he have said before now that Oshomole did XYZ in the past, which made me to tell him that he was saying what he's saying out of hatred, perhaps born out of his encounter with Oshomole's activities in the past. And I was telling him that let us remain focused on this major issue, that as far as I'm concerned, on this, Oshomole is doing what he's doing as a patriotism. Then again, you recall that I did told him that if the reason of this is patriotism, not because of business interests of Oshomole. Because if what Oshomole was doing was the position of Nigerian government, the opinion of Oshomole would have stayed true at the level of Senate. You can clearly see that his opinion never stayed true, which is an indicative that his position was not the position of Nigerian government. So I still maintain that Oshomole's position is a necessary diplomatic pressure to compel South Africa to do the right thing.
All right, just in 30 seconds, just try to round up. He said what you are saying is in terms of hatred towards Oshomole.
It's unfortunate if he says that that I'm saying this in out of hatred. That is clear out of psychophancy, and I don't belong to that school of thoughts. That's the fact. I want a responsibility, and I want a responsiveness to the fundamental reasons why there should be democracy in the first place, which is the protection of citizens. And when you talk about protection of citizens, I don't think it's only in Nigeria, anywhere in the world, but you can see millions of Nigerians are in prison. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because of the social media. I said these guys are not worth any credit, both now and forever. They are not worth it. Go to prisons all over the world. Nigerians are being thrown to the prison unnecessarily. Now, let me come back to the so-called Oshomole they are talking about, whether it is the opinion of the government or not. Officially, the Senate is an institution. And if the executive is reluctant on issues that borders on the protection of Nigerians in diaspora, I expected a very stiff action. But what do? They paint a certain... That's why I'm telling you, all of them are psychopaths. We don't have reasonable people in the Senate, including Oshomole himself. Because we know Oshomole's history before now. So what I'm saying is very clear, that at this point, in as much as we condemn xenophobic activities in South Africa, the Nigerian government, it should be held responsible. You see how they are shouting, but Nigerians we are talking about are being killed in Nigeria.
All right.
What I'm saying is this, apart from your DSTV, you are talking about national. Who are you the one that are going to buy it? What they're saying is that take concrete step to make sure that Africans, Nigerians in South Africa will have bodies.
All right, so thank you. I truly understand your point, and I feel we are also talking in almost the same direction. But what we want is a concrete step to save Nigerians.
Simple.
All right, so let's move towards the likes of Fubara.
But it should not be fair with you, because you allowed him to give a
conclusive. All right, so okay, you can just give a conclusive opinion of this.
It's simple. If you are killing Nigerians and some other African nationalities in South Africa, and the government seems to be complicit because of their inaction, or rather perceived inaction, and in the circumstance, we need to reciprocate in a way that will set signal.
When they want to bomb Gabon,
I don't know.
No, bros, let us forget about that, because
what are you forgetting about?
When they wanted to bomb one country, when there was a coup, no, come in. When there was a coup, was there due process?
You see the problem?
No, you understand? There was no due process at all. There was no due process.
You see the problem?
So what are we talking about? Because they are
Wait.
targeting interest. That's what I'm saying.
You know the problem? You want to dominate the
No, I'm
conversation.
not dominating, but I'm still trying
And
to
you see, I'm
correct
struggling
the
to
issue.
bring points because you want to dominate the conversation.
Why would I struggle?
You gave him
When I know
time.
that
You gave him time, and he still want to interject.
You can continue.
So the thing is, in the circumstance, like as I was saying, what you need to do is to reciprocate in a way that will send strong signal that we value our citizens. And what Oshomole did is born out of patriotism. Like I said up in the show, if his position were to be Nigerian government position, there's no way to not say through at the level of Senate. So to that extent, it's safe to say that it was the person's opinion, and that opinion is good, because shortly after he made that statement, we saw Ramaphosa coming out of a cocoon to make statement for the first time.
All right, so thank you.
Let me just say something.
Wait,
I want
we
to
have
hand
to
up.
we have to round up, because
I
we have
want
no more discussion to discuss. No, excuse me.
You cannot round up.
You have no more discussion to discuss, so, and time is not on our side. So I understand your point. You are more of the opinion that there should be swift action instead of this gradual.
They would have sent private jet to South Africa. From South Africa.
And he is
the
saying,
way they sent private jet when there was a coup somewhere in Africa.
And he is saying there's a process already going on, and which of a truth there are also processes going on that which we are hearing in the media that the Nigerian government is. All right, so let's move quickly to River State's crisis that is going on. A lot of people are saying Fubara should defect to NDC because Wike seems to be giving him too much trouble, and APC seems to be giving him too much trouble. Would you agree for Fubara to defect to NDC?
To be quite honest with you, if Fubara defers to NDC, it's going to spell doom for him. Because one, he'll be impeached. He may not complete his first tenure. So that best explains the reason he may not defend in the first place.
Why do you think he might be impeached?
And because all the House of Assembly members from Matuna Mahula, who is the Speaker of the House, to the about 27 of them who are loyal to the FCT, have made attempt to impeach him in the past. And it always takes the reported apparent intervention of Mr. President to always stop the impeachment. And in any case, after the resolution, the terms of the resolution we often hear always favor the SCT minister. So to that extent, the SCT minister is your same hand dealing with Fubara. To be quite honest with you, it would have been a very good thing for him to defect. And when you talk about defection at this stage, NDC is the desolation. Because NDC perhaps appear to be the most formidable and peaceful political party that politicians are now defecting to. That is why when we saw the defection of those 17 lawmakers from ADC, their decision was NDC. Because certainly the ADC is still embroiled in crisis up to now as we speak. The Nafi Gombe, who have been wreaking havoc in that party, have not stopped. As at the last count, he wrote a letter to the court to
Change the judge.
that the judge should be changed. That even made the judge to adjourn the case indefinitely. And as we speak, the uncertainty surrounding ADC is unabated. But if you look at the circumstance sequel to the Electoral Act in relation to timetable of INEC, the Fubara have been trapped. Because number one, Section 77, Section 4 of the Electoral Act says you must give notice to INEC if you hope to participate in the election of 2027. Sequel to your primary, you must give 21 notice to INEC 21 days before the primary. And as you give the notice, you submit your digital register. And INEC came out to say, our guideline, you start your political parties that hope to participate in the election must start their primaries on the 23rd of April and end it on the 30th of May. That is the window. As we speak, today is already 13, meaning the date to submit digital register to INEC expired like 3 days ago. So by implication, all political parties that hope to participate in this forthcoming election would have submitted their digital register to INEC. So that forecloses every possibility of political parties to register new entrants that wish to defect to their party. However, that does not bar people from defecting. But if you defect, you cannot be registered. And if you are not a registered member of a political party, you cannot contest. That is perhaps where the INEC and, of course, those who call themselves master strategists may have hold everybody hostage. So in the circumstance, Fubara is like trapped already.
So would you agree to Fubara? Okay, so let's do it like this. Is it that Wike is trying to take in charge of Rivers State despite having a governor in Rivers State? Is it that Wike is trying to take over the decision of, because a lot of times some people are saying, why imposing things when there is a governor that needs to decide?
I want to make reference to the Minister of Aviation, First of Keyamo, when he visited Rivers State. I also want to make references to, the unseen hand that actually initiated what was going on in Rivers State. They said it is deliberate, it's not politics. If it is politics, we know. He said that they wanted to catch a rat and they ended up catching an elephant. You know what it means? So, Fubara, we know ab initio that he decided to work for the people of Rivers State. But Wike decided, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu decided to play politics with it, adopting the necessity of the federal might on a governor that has mandate of the people. Voted from Opopo. And the entire River State is quiet. Nobody is speaking up. Now we understand that this is politics. That's what they want to tell Nigerians. Well, if it has come to that point, Fubara can go to NDC. What is wrong with that? He can go to NDC and reposition himself and make sure that APC and PDP does not emerge as elected governors in that state. And it is very possible to achieve that.
How possible is that to be achieved?
Yes, let me tell you, as it stands now, you can see clearly that what is at stake is not about the people. It's not about leadership in Rivers State. What is at stake is ego. What is at stake there, is the resources of Rivers State, not governance. So, radicalizing the political structure and political atmosphere in Rivers State ahead of 2027 seems to be the order of the day, because everybody has been greased. You know what I mean? Everybody has been monetized, commercialized. But it is quite dangerous for Nigerian democracy, especially when you come on the issue that has to do, with a federative unit of the federal government. So it's all about money. So if Fubara, can put his structures, never mind, work assiduously with the members and governorship candidates in that state, the possibility of Obi's political influence can give NDC victory in Rivers State.
All right, so
and by so doing, there's every possibility he can still come back to power.
All right, thank you so much. So let's just wrap these things up. We hear in the news that Jonathan might be contesting for 2027 election under the PDP. There is still kind of possibilities as we speak. I like to ask, what will a Jonathan presidency ambition do to, because a lot of people seems to be yearning, because if you check through the internet, youths are agitating for Peter Obi and all of that. Don't you think if Jonathan comes, there is going to be so much swinging and tilting towards Jonathan, because people will feel we have seen what he has done before and they may want to tilt towards that angle?
That is not entirely correct, but the Jonathan presidency will definitely going to do a spiralized game. In my own opinion, I'd advise Jonathan to stay away from this, because the issue is Jonathan had opportunity to govern this country, and during the time he governed, he got so much support from the southeastern part of the country, to the extent that he took a name, a Billy, which ordinarily would know that he's not from the southeastern part of the country. So this is the time to reciprocate, in my own opinion. So anybody asking to contest is only asking to come and perhaps divide Obi's vote, because it's very clear. In the last election of 2023, both Southeast and South were stronger of Obi himself. And the same thing we are going to experience in 2027, except otherwise, Jonathan decided to throw his hat into the ring. That is why at times some political pundit will tell you that the president is the one trying to draft him into the contest to perhaps polarize Obi's vote. But for me, I would advise him to stay out of this.
Let me still believe that everything is still a strategy to get Bola Ahmed Tinubu out of power. We saw already what is happening in Oyo State. Can we come to that understanding that it's a clear strategy? But the question is, why sudden romance with Turaki PDP-led faction after the Supreme Court judgment? The first courtesy call was in Jonathan's residence. And we are also, on the other note, seeing Nigeria Democratic Congress coming and having a former governor from his state too, Jonathan State, Bayelsa, as the chairman of NDC. So a lot of people are speculating that it might be another disguise to retain and give power to Buhari. But what surprises many is that Jonathan actually challenged that those whom citizens have actually rejected should not be found in the corridors of trying to contest election again. How the citizens of Nigeria have they now seen Jonathan as a potential candidate that can be voted for as president in 2023? So it is it is a complex situation, and Jonathan's position seems to represent the northern interest in the south. And I can tell you that if that means what Dora Akuyili actually fought for, which no south person can be able to do it at that time. I don't want to take you back, but what I'm saying is that Jonathan at this point, the wife has told him, what have you forgotten in Aso Rock that you want to go back there?
But don't you think it is because Nigerians, a lot of people went to him
why will it be the Northerners alone that is asking Jonathan to come back to power? That's the question. So by the time PDP gives him a ticket, and Seyi Makinde is also there with Atiku and the rest of them, we are having 3 presidential candidates from the south with 1 presidential candidate from the north. You can see the game is not just an ordinary one. It is targeted on Igbo presidency agenda, and it's unfortunate that if care is not taken, Jonathan will be part of this agenda to make sure that there's no Igbo presidency, which actually suits the radical Fulani politicians from the northern part of the
All right, so finally, sir, do you think, based on the last statement he made, that do you think it's Jonathan might also be part of an agenda to stop Igbo presidency? Do you actually think that?
All the cards is on the table currently. It is difficult to come to conclusion for now. We are still waiting in the coming days. But what is certain is that Jonathan himself even went to court through his lawyer to challenge a case seeking to determine his eligibility. So to that extent, it clearly showed that he wants to contest. Coupled with the fact that he met with Turaki-led ESCO. But in all of this, it's not yet clear whether the North or the president is one trying to draft him into the contest. But one of the that is clear is that he himself will not likely win the election. So he's likely going to do the spoilers game.
All right. So thank you so much for coming on this show today.
Yes. Before we go, the issue of Plateau too actually should be condemnable. I don't want to know what the Mufwang, the governor there, is actually doing, but I hope that they should actually sit up properly now and know what to do.
Yeah. So he's saying they shouldn't post killings that is going on in Plateau State on social media so as not to misinform people and all of those things. So do you think that's a way for him to try to reduce some of these things so that people not to demarket Plateau State?
He's just trying to tell us that we should stop the media, that shouldn't be media in Nigeria. That's what he's trying to do. That means he should be called and questioned why he should cover up the killing of Christians in Plateau. Thank you.